You ever wonder what happens behind the scenes when there's a big food poisoning scare? Well, it's basically a high-stakes detective story. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and walk through the playbook these public health detectives use to connect the dots and, stop an outbreak dead in its tracks.
So, what really goes down when an outbreak hits? It's almost never one single dramatic moment. It's more about finding a tiny, hidden pattern in the noise, scrambling to put together the right team of experts, and then racing against the clock to find the source before things get any worse. So the big question is, how do they actually pull it off?
All right, we're going to follow the whole investigation from start to finish. We'll look at how an outbreak even begins, how they assemble the team of disease detectives, the actual hunt for clues, how they zero in on the source, and finally, how they contain the threat. Okay, first up, an outbreak begins. And, outbreaks don't exactly announce themselves with a megaphone. They usually start as just a faint signal, something almost invisible in the mountain of everyday public health data. So, what you're looking at here is key. Public health officials are always watching this kind of data. Most of the time, there's a sort of steady, predictable background noise of illnesses. It's just the baseline. But then, look at week 34. Whoa, that sudden spike, that's not just a number. That is a blaring alarm bell. It's the very first clue that an outbreak might be starting.
And as soon as that alarm goes off, it's time to assemble the team. This is absolutely not a one-person job. A special, multi-skilled group called the Outbreak Control Team, or OCT for short, gets put together to lead the investigation. And this is a serious team of experts. You've got your epidemiologists. They're the data detectives, the pattern finders. You've got food safety officers who know their way around a commercial kitchen, lab specialists, clinicians, sometimes even veterinarians if there's an animal link, and of course, a press officer to handle communications. It's this whole mix of brains and expertise that really gives them a shot at solving the case.
Okay, the team is assembled. Now the real detective work can begin. The OCT's first job is to get down to brass tacks and start gathering clues. They need to figure out the classic who, what, where, and when of this illness.
But wait, before they can even start counting the sick, they have to agree on what sick actually looks like for this specific outbreak. This is called the case definition. It's basically a super specific checklist of symptoms, timing, maybe even location. It's so important because it makes sure every single person on the team is hunting for the very same thing.
Once they have that definition locked down, they build this, a line listing. Now, I know it looks like a simple spreadsheet, but don't let that fool you. This thing is incredibly powerful. By putting all the patient info in one spot like this, investigators can start to see connections. Are most people a certain age? Do they all have one weird symptom in common? Did they all get sick on the same day? This is where the first real patterns start to jump out.
And speaking of patterns, this chart is all about the when. It's called an epidemic curve, and its shape literally tells a story. See how there's one really sharp peak with all the cases bunched up together? That screams point source outbreak. It's a huge clue that lots of people were probably exposed to the exact same contaminated thing at a single event, like a bad batch of potato salad at a picnic.
So now, to figure out the who, investigators calculate something called attack rates. It sounds intense, but it's pretty simple. It's just the number of people who got sick in a group divided by the total number of people in that group. By comparing these rates, say for different age groups or people who went to different events, they can start to see who was hit the hardest.
Okay, so once they have a few theories about the source, epidemiologists have two main ways to test them. Think of it as two different detective methods. First, there's the cohort study. That's when you look at a group of people, figure out who was exposed to the suspect food and who wasn't, and then see who got sick. The other way is a case control study. That's where you start with people who are already sick, find a similar group of healthy people, and then work backward to ask, okay, what did you guys do differently? What did you eat?
Let's look at a cohort study in action. This is from a famous case at a church supper. The investigators looked at every single food item. But just look at the vanilla ice cream. A whopping 80% of the people who ate it got sick. Compare that to only 14% of the people who didn't eat it. That is a huge red flag.
And that massive difference gets boiled down to this one number, the relative risk. In this case, it's 5.6. What that means is people who ate the vanilla ice cream were over 5.5 times more likely to get sick. That right there is the statistical smoking gun. It's pointing right at the culprit.
But okay, what if you can't track down everyone who was at a big event? That's when you'd use a case control study. In this example from a hospital outbreak, they just compared what a group of sick people ate to what a similar group of healthy people ate. And boom, look at the chocolate mousse cake. 42 of the sick patients ate it, but only 5 of the healthy ones did. The difference is just massive.
And this gives us another really powerful number, the odds ratio. An odds ratio of almost 28 is, well, it's gigantic. It means the odds of having eaten that mousse cake were nearly 28 times higher for the people who got sick. It's just an absolutely overwhelming piece of mathematical evidence pointing a giant finger at the source.
So armed with this incredibly strong statistical evidence, the investigation pivots. It's time to move out of the world of spreadsheets and data and go to the physical crime scene, the kitchen, the factory, or wherever the contamination is thought to have happened.
Right. The data has told them what made people sick. But the next massive question is how? Where did the contamination actually come from? How did the germs even get into the food to begin with?
Well, investigators basically have a checklist of the usual suspects. Could it have been an infected food handler? Contaminated raw ingredients from the start? Maybe food was cooled improperly and left in the danger zone for too long. Or the classic cross-contamination, like raw chicken juices getting on a salad. These are the kinds of critical mistakes they're hunting for when they're on site.
Okay, once they've nailed down the source and figured out how it happened, the mission shifts into its final and maybe most important phase, containing the threat and making sure this doesn't happen again.
And if a commercial product is the bad guy, the food recall process kicks into overdrive. It is an all-out, coordinated sprint. You've got the manufacturer, the authorities, the stores, the public, everyone working together to get that dangerous product off the shelves and out of people's pantries fast.
But you know, at the end of the day, this isn't just a job for the experts. We all have a part to play. The World Health Organization has these 5 keys to safer food, and they're really our best toolkit at home. Simple stuff, really. Keep clean. Separate raw and cooked foods. Cook thoroughly. Keep food at safe temperatures, and use safe water and ingredients. These habits are our best line of defense.
Which really brings us to a final big question. I mean, with our food coming from all over the globe and pathogens getting smarter all the time, can we ever be 100% safe? The work of these disease detectives is more critical now than ever before. The hunt for the next outbreak, it never really stops. It's this constant race, this ongoing detective story that really is working to protect all of us.